What's up?
What's going on? How are you?
Wonderful. Another beautiful day. Doing an iPad 9 digitizer.
Yeah, easy money is what you mean, right?
Oh yeah.
iPads are where it's at.
Oh yeah. Big time. Especially I believe we're the only ones in the area who promise a same day turnaround on them. So we get pretty much everyone that calls.
I mean, outside of like iPad Pro or something major, I just don't see how you're not turning around a normal iPad same day or a digitizer, especially. Even, I
Because
mean,
people
I guess if you're
don't like
really
to do
swamped, man, I don't know why. Like, I would rather do iPads all day than
yeah,
iPhones.
I was just telling my employee my if I had to pick two repairs to do for the rest of my life, it would be iPad 9s and iPhone 11s.
Yep. Yep. I like the iPhone 11. It's like right whenever right before it switched over to all OLED and the flat
Yeah,
panels.
right. Maybe XR because well XR I think XR doesn't have screen message, right?
Don't quote me on it, but I don't think so. But I'm
Yeah.
not involved with the repair side enough to say yes or no. Steph is listening. Maybe he can answer. Or phone fixer.
They all suck. They're all made out of garbage.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the S22 and S23 Ultras too. Those are pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny too is a lot of people used to be scared to fix Samsungs. I guess back, maybe more back in the day whenever it was more a little bit different on just getting service packs, right? Like you were doing either like Seth used to do glass only, S3, S4. Remember
Mhm.
selling glass only to you?
It's the reason I have a receding hairline.
It's always good. I'm sure you're not the only one who did S3, S4, S5 refurbs in store. It was good money. I'm sure Jason did. He's looking like he did over there.
Yeah, we did
No?
a lot of Loca stuff, and then we did full refurbishing with the clean room. And then I decided that I didn't want to work 100 hours a week anymore, so we sold all that shit.
Shit, that's before my time. I think S8, S9 was what was popping when I started fixing.
No, we started working on phones when they were still gas powered. You're just a little bitty, you're young. You're way too young, though.
I remember working on flip phones like the Casio Rock and Boulder and all those. I did so many charge port repairs on those things because they were actually made of fiberglass. They were just shit.
Jeez.
Yeah, if you haven't done an LG chocolate charging port repair, I think you should just dip out of this chat real quick.
Oh, come on, come on.
Or an LCD ribbon flex cable on a Motorola Crazer.
I
Listen,
rem-
if you haven't fixed a
yeah,
PowerBook 1400C, don't even talk to me.
I remember doing
Oh,
like the
jeez.
front face plates of LG Envies. They like or the ribbon between the top and the bottom was horrible, and we did so many face swaps.
Nothing beats a good old just, you know, old school iPhone 3GS frame swap. You just got to take everything out of it piece by piece and, turn it from black to white so people look cool back then.
I have done those. I have
Mm.
done those. That might be the oldest one I've worked on though.
When the iPhone 4S came out and they had the difference between the AT&T and Verizon like plastic bezel to the screens, I remember we just ordered blank screens and just put different bezel sizes on them.
That
A lot
is
of people,
insane.
Just
a lot
clip
of
the
people just clipped them.
middle one. Yeah, the good
Yeah.
old days.
Oh, Jason, there you go. Got the clear back glass. Dang. Sitting out in like a trophy case in your front office.
It is. It's literally in a tote called the Vault.
It was a sad day when I
Oh,
threw away all our BlackBerry parts about 18 months ago.
remember
Yeah,
doing Storm 2 touchscreens, a lot of Storm 2 touchscreens.
Yep, we did tons of those. Storm 2 and a torch. What about the torch? That piece of garbage.
Man, all of like BlackBerry was good except for their repairability. It was just shit.
Yeah, but
never.
were you guys making custom back glasses for
Oh,
iPhone?
Oh wow.
no. Dang. No.
I remember when like 15-year-old girls would smash their back glass on purpose and then like color it in with highlighter.
Highlighter. Yep. Yep.
So
That
all
was
of
my
you
very
guys
next comment. You took it
need
right out
to
of my
get your
mouth.
cholesterol checked if you can remember any of these repairs. Okay, just a reminder.
I
And
did
a
that
prostate
actually.
exam.
I had a white iPhone 4 and I cracked the back glass and colored it in with highlighters when I was in school.
So now I feel bad that I just said 16-year-old girls and
Yeah.
you're admitting that.
Yeah. I probably should have kept my mouth shut.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
2024, bro. Chill out.
What's on the agenda today?
Well, I mean, originally I had was trying to gather a couple people. I know Nathan for sure does, but Ben Warda is another guy I tagged in a post. But Seth and I were actually just talking about it before the call. Just MSP, computer kind of stuff. I think a lot of shops, some shops that do, but I feel like there's a large majority of shops that don't. And I'm not saying full blown MSP, right? Like, you can do that. Like there's, Ben Warda does have his separate entities as he's got a repair shop, then he's got his MSP service separate, and he operates both of those. But some guys kind of operated under the same umbrella. But offering even services to businesses or even subscription services to your just normal customers for repair, which Laura, she's not on here right now, but she was talking on the first call how she does a $300 a year subscription plan for her customers. And it's like, one or two antivirus removals and a couple other small things. So it's like she's got 100 customers signed up for that. That's $30,000 a year she's making on the subscription service, and half the people aren't even using it. Right?
Wow.
Like so, like it just got me thinking. Like after she said that, I'm like, okay, like I think there's a lot of people that are kind of missing the opportunity here, even the computer space, even just with little things like that, right?
Yeah, I don't know how many people on this call will know Chris. Tiffany, obviously
Yep.
his is a different scale, but like that dude's making
Oh
money
yeah.
now.
Oh yeah.
And like CP was his side bitch, which obviously wasn't paying enough.
Yep. Yeah, he's crushing it. He's been doing, he was doing that always, even with CPR. And then once he kind of scaled up some more of those contracts, he was like, I'm out. Like, this is all I want to do. He just acquired another company. That's, Seth and I were just talking about it actually. Him and Ryan Garrity, both guys in the repair industry who once had stores that have sold their stores to focus on, low voltage, CCTV, anything they can do in that kind of space. And they're, your numbers are tenfold compared to what you can do now, and it's the same kind of skill set.
Do you guys know Jason Arnett?
Yes.
Yeah, I used
Yeah,
I
I
used to
know. I know
work for
Jason.
him. I used to work at his CPR, and he just sold his CPR store to his son to focus on his AV and low voltage company.
Yep. Definitely a lot of opportunity out there. So I was hoping to see if there's anybody even doing anything even in that space, if there was people that had thought about it, just hadn't pulled the trigger. Seth is really heavy on trying to get moving with something, and a standalone, not with repair but focusing on bigger contracts, CCTV stuff, anything that you can do with businesses that or services they may want that you can put them on a subscription, whether it's a monthly or an annual subscription. There's just a lot of different opportunities. So that was
Yeah,
my biggest thing.
there's a couple of reasons why. First one, the reason I want to make it a separate entity is just liability alone. If you're doing on-site services, and God forbid something really bad happens, you don't want the liability to affect your current profitable business. And the second reason is just to differentiate, to those different services that you're providing that are different than a break fix type store. Because some people may have never even been to your store, but want AV services or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, so like I was messaging Josh or whatever. We were commenting back and forth, but Minnesota just changed a whole bunch of laws that you have to be a licensed electrician to run low voltage, period. End of story. It doesn't matter if you're just running an Ethernet cable. If you are putting any low voltage through any type of wall, you have to be a licensed electrician. So like all the home builders around us that are trying to get Ethernet cables run through their walls, they have to hire an electrician. Otherwise, everything that is done has to be completely ripped out. There was a house that was built next to us, that was going up next to us, and they just had Midco or whatever internet provider come through, run all their cables, and they failed inspection because they didn't have a licensed electrician run it. Even though it was right, they didn't have a licensed electrician run it, so the guy had to rip out everything they had done and redo it all.
That's insane. It's the
It's just
same in Florida. You need a low voltage electrician's license to run cameras. I used to do them, and then I stopped because of that.
Oregon's the same way. You have to be a licensed electrician to run a fucking
Super.
cable.
What's up, Chris?
Oh, life's been a shit show lately, but it has nothing to do with the store. So we're alive and well.
Wonderful.
can relate.
What's up, guys?
So when you guys are talking about that, you talking new construction or just existing construction where
Doesn't matter.
they had to rip it out? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah, they don't
So-
care, man.
So I started
I
doing
feel it.
CCTV as well. I used to do this as well. I used to work for someone, but he moved to Miami. And I would just get requests from time to time, like, hey, do you install cameras? Do you install cameras? And so, yes, you do need a low voltage license. That being said, it's a very gray area, especially in Illinois. I have actually installed 2 systems without a low voltage license, ironically, but I am working on getting it. And there's a lot of potential in that business, especially with all the violence going on and everything and all the crime going up. There's a big demand happening when it comes to CCTV. And I feel like for everyone being in the cell phone industry, this is something that just comes together because it's very simple to understand, especially if you repair phones. If you find a good supplier for CCTV products, cameras, cable, all this stuff, it's really easy to start it out. The only thing is labor and getting it done. And of course, having your license. For example, someone just contacted me to put in some cameras for an apartment with some license plate readers. But the problem is that the place where he wants to put the license plate reader camera, we need to dig a trench for conduit. With that, are you going to do it yourself and possibly damage someone else's cables or the city's cables or plumbing or what have you, or sewer? Or are you going to hire someone who's going to charge you $5,000 to get that done and tacked onto that bill for that guy? And then the question is he going to pay that? So there's a lot of variables when it comes to installing cameras, and I'm learning along the way, but it's definitely something I want to get into myself here in the Chicagoland area. There's a lot of potential on this.
How do you get around the low voltage license? Like, how do you acquire one? As someone with, I assume you don't have the required experience working with electricians that, at least in my state, is something they require, a certain amount of years of experience.
That's a good question. There's no really information out there. And the people that I've asked, like there's a group called Low Voltage Nation or whatever,
Yeah, I'm in there.
I've tried asking a few people. Those people are complete freaking assholes and they don't give 2 squats about you, They don't give out any information. My recommendation is go to your local, city, your state, online website and just give them a call. And I think that's like the best bet to get. They started somewhere, and there's some people that say you need to be like an apprentice for like some time, but there has to be a way around it. There has to be some type of class that you can start on, and get around that, because it doesn't make sense. Or find a friend who is doing it and pay him under the table and be like, hey, this guy worked here for X amount of time. Just thinking out the box here.
I have a customer that I might be able to call upon.
Yeah, so if you want to weasel your way into it, that's totally up to you. But But yeah, no, it's something where it's definitely important to have that. But when I spoke to my supplier, when it comes to this, I had a good conversation with him regarding it. He says that he sells more cameras and equipment to customers of his that don't have low voltage licenses than the ones that do have low voltage licenses. So he's like, there's a lot of people in the field that don't have the license. They're just getting it done and paying their taxes on it, you know. So it's definitely a gray area because it's such a kind of new industry per se. Like the camera systems have been around for a while, but it's becoming easier to install them. For example, when you install a camera system now, you just scan a freaking QR code on the NVR and it's done. Back in the day, you had to do IP addresses and all this stupid stuff that became confusing. Scan the QR code and you're good to go.
Hmm.
I think the biggest thing with doing it like that is just like, like you said, people just going out and getting it done, or, don't have a license and going and doing it. For a business to go ahead and do that, you're putting a ton of liability on yourself if something does happen.
Of course,
you're real fucked. If something were to go wrong, you hit a line or, you knock out somebody's power completely, you're real screwed.
Of course. No, you're 100% right when it comes to that. I'm not denying that at all. Definitely recommended to get low voltage license, but hey, people start somewhere, and I don't believe anyone who would get into this industry would get their low voltage license first before trying if you like it. It's kind of like a thing. So it's such a gray area when it comes to that, but definitely recommended to try to get that low voltage license. And I'm looking for a way to figure that out in the state of Illinois. Trying to figure that out. I just have to make a phone call. Just the last few months, I've been so busy that I haven't even chance to make that phone call yet. So,
is there?
I'm in the to anybody who wants to get into like possibility of doing cameras or security systems at all is go with like the UV battery option. Do a bunch of those, test them, see if you're even interested, if your customers are interested, or just do different battery option ones that don't require anything. You just have to charge it every 90 days or whatever.
Yeah, like those Wi-Fi cameras, like Wise and all that crap.
Yeah, if you can get those ones done and your customers are liking that aspect of it, then you can branch out and start doing more expensive ones and go getting full systems that are going to take you 2 days to set up or whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I would definitely call you for installing the battery.
What was that?
I was going to say I would definitely caution those that are doing wanting to install just the pure battery ones. Depending on where you're located, if it's like a very humid and hot environment, then those cameras are going to go down quite often. When it comes to the low voltage license, you want to look at your county's rules and regulations and where you're actually doing business. So a lot of the counties, for a lot of the companies that we run low voltage cable for, there's no license required for the inspection, but then there are some counties that do require an electric license. And so for those counties that require that, we just subcontract that portion out to another company, and we pay that company for the work, and we just mark it up over to the customer. So that way we're still maintaining the relationship, we're still maintaining the client in the work, and we're just outsourcing that part of the process.
Yeah, no,
I was going to ask about that. Is there a big company or some kind of big network, maybe similar to like the Drive Savers idea, where you have Drive Savers hooking up with hundreds of shops that all send them the work? Is there a company like that or a networking platform where I could say, quote a customer for an 8-channel IP camera? Yes, Chris, Drive Savers is garbage. I can kind of subcontract it to them and just mark it up to my client.
Yeah. Hey, there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. There's a company called Field Nation, which is basically an IT complete IT. You can basically submit up jobs on that and say how much you're even wanting to be paid. And then you'll
Okay.
have to make certain, and then you basically just say that the person has to be low voltage certified to have them do it. What we've done is we've done a lot of security camera installs, and we use PoE all the time. We just made a good connection with our local electricians, and we just sub out the running of the network cables to the electricians. If you got if you get a good relationship going with them, because they're already in there running the wires anyways. A lot of times for the electrical stuff, especially for new construction type stuff. If it's old construction, it's a lot easier to just sub it out to somebody else than it is for us to do it. I mean, we've done in the last 6 months, we did almost a $50,000 security camera install and another $30,000 security camera install.
Nice.
And we did not do any of the cabling. We subbed it all out to somebody else.
Okay, good to know.
So out of curiosity, on those two jobs, how much did you have to pay the subcontractors?
We paid them on a per drop basis. So what we did is we supplied all the network cable, and then we just figured out exactly where we wanted all the security cameras to be, and then we just paid them on a per drop basis. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly what it was on a per drop, because of course the one we had like 47 drops, and the other one we had like 18 or 20 drops or something like that. But it was about like $100 a drop. I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
we recently paid about double that, but it was for a concrete building.
Okay.
So it was about $200 per point.
Yeah. And we already did work for this electrical company already, so it was a good partnership already. And they hated the other video company that does video cameras in town, or security cameras in town, because I guess they tried to sub some stuff out to them before and they screwed them over. So like they're trying to do anything that we can to help them be successful. So, and put the other company out of business.
I like it.
The other thing with that is you have to look at how big of a job this is, because a lot of electricians aren't going to want to come out to do 2 drops. They don't, or you might find somebody that wants to, but you're going to spend a bunch more money just for 2 drops. It's when you get those bigger businesses that are like, I need, like you just said, 40 drops. That's a big enough check for them to come out and actually do all the work, versus I need 1 or 2.
I might have missed this part, but I think Dustin or someone asked, and I was walking away. But what is the difference between like what you'll quote a customer per drop versus what you'll pay a subcontractor per drop?
Yeah, so a lot of times, depending on the type of work that we're doing, if it's, like I said, if it's brand new construction, we've been able to charge up to about $500 to $700 per drop per camera.
What the fuck? No way.
Good money, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we're in the state of Illinois too. I heard you talking about you're in the Chicagoland area. I'm in Central Illinois, down in Champaign-Urbana.
Nice.
In the state of Illinois, to get low voltage certified, you got to have 4 years of experience of being basically an electrical contractor already. So it's like really stupid to try to get low voltage certified unless you're already an electrician. I mean, it's just stupid. And then one of the other things that a lot of our customers started asking us if we could do is the actual like alarm systems. And in the state of Illinois, you basically have to be a private investigator and get your private investigator license to become an alarm company. I mean, some of the stuff that they got is so stupid, it's unreal.
That's why
That is
I was
crazy.
saying that our supplier for cameras, he says that more than 50% of his customers don't have any licenses. They just do it.
Yeah. I mean, for a lot of our small ones, like we've got a little beautician shop that wants us to put in 4 cameras, and we're just gonna network it ourselves. I mean, we already know how to run cable. We're smart. I mean, you know that there's networking and IT companies out there right now that are running cables all day long, every day, that do not have a low voltage person on staff. No.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things where if you're doing it right and no one says anything, you'll be fine. But it's only like, for example, if you really do screw up, and then they'll fine you. They'll be like, all right, well, you don't have it, they will fine you. But if you do everything by the book, make sure that you're okay. Illinois is difficult with not only that, it's difficult with everything. You want to breathe, you got to pay for it.
Yep. Yep.
You
And
know?
you got to be licensed for it. You got to be
Yes,
licensed for
exactly.
breathing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You can't live without an ID in Illinois. You can't hold a car without insurance in Illinois because they'll fine you. It's remarkable. I love this state. But anyways,
Hey, Bill, question: where are you finding these contracts or these clients that are getting these networks and things like that?
yeah, so we got in with a local contractor who's doing a lot of the construction work. Um, so he's basically the general contractor for these places. So
Yep, and
he just
you're a
subs it out.
sub of his.
We're a sub of his now. We're just doing the security cameras for him.
Yep.
And
Are you? Go ahead.
yeah, that's just what I was going to say. And then of course we sub out. So usually and the electrical contractor that we're subbing our stuff to is also one of his subs. So it works out
Okay.
well. So for a
Right.
lot of these projects,
Yep.
we're both already working on it already. So it just works out.
Are you installing like Ubiquity systems, or
Yeah. So
what's the
yeah. So for most of the network gear, we use Ubiquity stuff. For our cameras, we use the company called LTS. It's based, I think they're based out of Chicago, actually. But we're actually looking at Ubiquity's cameras now too. That way we can just have one unified system that goes across the board. Because Ubiquity's got cameras now too.
right? They're just a little pricey, it seems.
Yeah, but once again, if you can hide the pricing into some of this stuff on a per drop, paying an extra 20 or 30 bucks per camera and have one unified system so that the customer, you got one pane of glass that you can look at. And
Yeah.
then what you can also start to sell is if you are selling managed services, and that's something that we're moving really heavily into as well. We just now start saying that one of our additional add-ons is that we'll manage your security cameras too. So we can monitor to see if your cameras go out. So you're not waiting to find out that, oh crap, I have an incident that happened. I went back to look and no, my camera wasn't working.
Right. That's a good selling point for sure.
And with the Ubiquity system, it basically, like I said, it'd be one pane of glass that you can see everything. You can see that the switches are all up. You can see all their APs are up. You can see that their cameras are all up.
Cool. Thank you for the info.
Yeah.
Dang, it went quiet in here real quick.
I know.
What was the name of that company? Ubiquity?
Ubiquity.
Ubiquity.
UI.com.
How do you spell that?
Just
type
in.
I put it in chat.
Yeah, Ubiquity. They're the Q, yeah.
So the nice thing about them is their server and equipment is a little bit more expensive up front, but there's no monthly fees once you buy everything. So you're all in once you buy it.
And it's all like super user friendly.
Super user friendly.
You just plug in a 8 terabyte hard drive and it backs it up to that.
Yep.
I'm not sure if anyone has seen a group that I made regarding camera stuff and low voltage, but I have a friend that buys and sells camera equipment at very good prices. And starting in January, once our catalog is going to be finished and whatnot, we will be selling cameras. Hopefully, it's something that I want to dabble in. If anyone's interested, we'll be doing like 4, 8, 16 camera kits automatically with NVRs and cable and whatnot. So it's easier to install and just everything is plug and play. Just connect it, QR code it, and it's good to go. So that's something that I'm also doing. So if anyone would be interested in, possibly starting out with someone like a 8 camera kit for someone, feel free to contact me. More than happy to get that shipped out for you. Definitely at a good price. It'd be 4 or 5 megapixel cameras, 2.8 millimeter, 4 millimeter. If you want color night vision, if you want sound, all that good stuff, definitely can get that for you.
Nathan, do you do a lot of CCTV stuff?
Me?
Oh, you're muted still. Hold on. He's muted. You're still muted.
Who are you talking to?
Nathan, but he's muted.
Um, I just jumped in here. Is the security cameras? What company is that with?
Kind of been a
They were talking about
variance.
Ubiquity, which is a pretty big one.
Yeah, I think it depends on obviously the customer, the service, and like kind of like what their goal is, what they're looking for. There was discussion of battery powered cameras, which I personally use Eufy at home, if that's how you pronounce it, Anker's brand. I use those at home. I've used them for probably 4 years now. Great, great cameras for home use. I have no problem with just, taking them down real quick, charging them overnight one time, and then they're up for however long. I don't keep track of it, but it's long enough where it doesn't bother me.
Are those cameras set up for the customer to manage themselves, or is it a managed service that you're providing the customer?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying.
Depends.
It varies. Yeah. It varies on like what they're, who your customer is, what they're looking for. Is it a business? Is it a house? Stuff like that. So like that's where the different types of cameras, brands of cameras, service levels kind of differentiate there, right? So like, if it's at a house, you would assume that the homeowner is going to have access to the app and be able to see their cameras, their events, stuff like that. You would, help them set it up on their phone once it's all set up, stuff like that. But if it's commercial, obviously a little bit different. Commercial is going to be more, in VR, where you're going to be storing the videos locally, probably, maybe somewhere in the cloud, maybe depending on the service. But I think that's where they were talking Ubiquity is a better option for business, commercial, anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really depends. I would say maybe 2 months ago, I set up, I think like 7 Nest cams for a customer. It took me an hour to do the whole entire process, and they paid me like $1,200 to set up all their cameras. We supplied the cameras. I bought it with Google credit because I had a whole bunch of Google credit. So I got it for even technically cheaper. And we set everything up. And like I said, it was like $1,200 and maybe an hour and a half. And after that, it is I'm hands off. I don't need to do anything else with it until that customer calls me 6 months from now and they get a new phone and want to transfer everything over and they don't know how.
Yeah, that's definitely the type of stuff that I was looking for in general whenever I was looking for people doing. And I say smart home, but I think smart home is a very generic kind of universal term I use to encompass anything. And I consider a camera a smart home, right? Like you're accessing on your device, stuff like that. Like I'm not thinking as much of like setting up an Echo or something for a customer, but anything that you could kind of get your hands on or in with your customer, especially if you're doing computer repairs, anything along those lines, is an opportunity, right? Because especially if you're going to their house, you're going to be setting up something for their Wi-Fi. Maybe you run into something with their printer where they've got computer problems, and they find out just then that you work on computers, or there's just a lot more opportunities there that I feel like once you're kind of there with them, rather than them being in your store, then that changes the dynamic a little bit more, and it kind of opens their comfort level a little bit better because they're in a safe place for them in their house. So I think
should become a social media category for potential.
It's on my list for sure.
You guys know electricians, like full-blown electricians. My best friend's an electrician, and he installed a whole bunch of the like smart light switches in a guy's house, and the guy didn't know how to set them up on his phone. He just knew he wanted them, and then after he had them, he's like, oh god, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. And so my buddy called me. I went over to this dude's house and set up, I think it was like 47 light switches. And I mean, it was just an on-call thing. I did it myself. I didn't do it through my business. But I just went out there and did it all really quick. It took, I don't know, maybe 4 hours to do all light switches because it was a lot. But now we have them set up. I set them up for like routines and stuff like that. So he can come home and they automatically turn on because he has a sensor. And when he leaves, they automatically turn off and it locks his door. And So a lot of that stuff is so customizable, and customers don't really know what they can do until you show them what they can do, and they pay a lot of money for it.
Agreed. Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of customers, especially that are they consider themselves tech savvy, right? But at the same time, just like you said, this guy wants this, but he doesn't know anything about it. He just, one of his friends probably had it. He's like, oh, I gotta have that, and then, he's got that kind of guy. But there's just all those types of opportunities. What really got me considering it originally was I had helped somebody set up a Sonos system at their house. Again, Sonos, not really a cheap system by any means. They are pretty expensive depending on how many speakers you get, what you get. And, I made like $1,500, I think, for just helping this guy set up 5 speakers and just getting it app and like getting the app, setting it up, making sure he knew how to use it with the streaming service like Spotify and stuff. And beyond that, that was it. But like he didn't care. Like there's just so many different opportunities because these guys don't know and they'd rather just pay somebody to have it done. And if they're willing to pay that much for a product in general, you're saying 47 light switches or, switches in general, that's not cheap. Those usually, even for, obviously nobody's trying to cut corners and just use super off brand, switch, but I'd have to imagine a fair price, maybe $5 to $10 a unit for those. Like it's not cheap to just buy those, let alone have somebody install them all and then pay you to come set it up on an app, right? So it just shows how committed some people are to just doing something like this and they're willing to pay for it.
Especially because these days I feel like that, for example, 5 years ago, like there was like a smart home craze, with the Google Mini and all that stuff. But I feel like that we jumped over this hump where it's like now it's not really like a craze. I feel like that's going to be becoming more of like a priority in new homes. Like everything will be like connected to Wi-Fi. You buy these fridges, everything is connected to Wi-Fi, and people are going to want surveillance systems. People are going to want to have people setting up their electronics at home and stuff because at the end of the day, people have money but don't know what to do with it and they don't know how to install it. Whereas, we're fixing these things right here and we have an understanding of it. Why shouldn't we be able to go out in the field and use our knowledge to get this done? I mean, it's basically just larger systems, basically just like a phone, but bigger, which makes it easier, in my opinion. So it's definitely a good thing to tap into if you're interested in doing that. And you're not tied into a store all day. I feel like I imprison myself sometimes. So it's nice to get out there, So
Yeah, I went ahead and dropped a link to one of the vendors that we use, Streakwave. It's where we get a good portion of our Ubiquity equipment from. They do have really good warranties through there, and some of the pricing when you buy in bulk actually can come out a little bit cheaper than buying direct from Ubiquity.
Nice. Very good. Very good. Yeah, no, I mean, this is something I think that we should definitely talk about again in the future. And, definitely I think that it'd be nice to figure out, the whole low voltage thing and figure out the counties that you're in. I think that if you really get into it, it'd be good to talk to, just call your local counties and ask someone to help you out to get in contact with someone that can give you the correct information. Because like I said, the guys in the low voltage groups, I've messaged some people and they're just like, no, literally. So, yeah, man, it's definitely a cool career to get into if you can.
And I think Seth was asking about all these managed services. I think one thing that I'm pretty sure you sell a lot of the Fire TV sticks and that app. Is that right, Seth?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so just with that alone, you could literally go to that customer's house and set that up for them, and that's a whole nother service that you could provide. And a lot of the times, these customers don't. I don't know. At least for us, a lot of the customers for us don't know how to set that stuff up or how to actively use it. And so going to their house is another $100 that you can make off of them, just because you know how to do it. You've been doing it forever. You know how to set it all up and how to show them how to continue to use it versus getting that phone call at 6 o'clock at night because they want to watch the Tennessee football game and they can't.
I have a question for those who sell streaming services and the Fire Sticks and everything. So I don't sell the streaming services or the Fire Sticks or anything, but I did just have a customer call that wanted to ditch cable and whatnot. They don't use any of the live stuff or the Fox or anything, and I use a website myself that's $2 a month to do that. Has anybody potentially has any knowledge on me for facing the legality of selling somebody something that I want to say is almost pirated, but it's
Don't advertise
it's such a gray area?
Yeah, it's definitely not legal. But
yeah, here in Florida, they'll come and break up your shop here in Florida, man. They're not fucked. They don't mess around here.
I don't want to sell the Fire Sticks and advertise it. I just feel like I should be okay maybe helping a customer saying, hey, I've been, using this service for the last 4 years. I mean, you can't sign up for this service unless you get exclusively invited by somebody who has it. And I had to pay some sketchy Russian dude when I found it 4 or 5 years ago or whatever. So
I mean, you could just Google IPTV and you'll get a dozen different options. It's
what's the difference in IPTV and just an online movie and TV streaming service? What is the IPTV? Is that just the Amazon or somebody has a server type thing?
There's really no difference. IPTV is just it's TV over IP. It's no difference.
So the service that I have,
the TV, you have.
Let's not incriminate ourselves here.
Yeah, right. I'm being very careful.
That I have is movie. Sorry.
YouTube TV can be considered IPTV. It's just
so like Netflix, Netflix IPTV.
Technically, IPTV is just internet TV, right? So, but what we're talking about is like the illegal streaming services that you go and download.
Yeah, I'm never set somebody up on one of those.
Unlicensed is what you're looking for.
So I've read the.
That's over here, like, oh man.
I got in trouble years ago for piracy, so I've been down this road, and it scares me. What I found was what the information that I found, and I read a lot of law, so I did not get myself in trouble, is that you can stream services, but the moment that you download them or you share them is the moment where you're crossing that line where they don't want you to cross. The service that I use is just like Netflix and Hulu. You have a login, there's no ads. It's very nicely laid out. It's just a website and whatnot. There's even apps and whatnot for it. But the worriness of the legality would be the issue in giving that to the customer.
Chris, in short, it's illegal. I mean, no matter how you put a spin on it or be like, whatever, it's illegal. Using it or selling it. Now, you might be right in the sense of the feds aren't going to come knock down your door if you're using it. But, selling it might be a little, they care. But either way, it's illegal.
Yeah, so just...
Sorry, Seth, I love you.
You're paying $2 a month, and you said, it's just like Netflix. It's just a service that you're using. It doesn't matter. Even though you're paying for it, it's still not legal. Because we used to sell an IPTV service, and I was charging my customers $20 a month, and at some point, they are like, well, I just bought it from this guy. Same thing you're saying. I just bought it. I just pay for it. It must be legal because I'm paying for it. Nah, it's definitely not.
Yeah, I got into that. I mean, I wouldn't say IPTV, but the same concept, right? Back in, I don't even know, 2010-ish with Apple TV 2s, where we would jailbreak the Apple TV 2s, install XBMC, run Kodi on them, stuff like that, and Kodi and IceFilm stuff that had same concepts, IPTV. There was a bunch of different add-on stuff out there, and I would buy the Apple TVs. I worked for Best Buy part-time at Geek Squad, and then I was full-time IT, and I would just go buy all these Apple TVs, leave Best Buy, set them up all night, and just sell them for $100, $100 more than what I paid for them. So if they were $100, I'd sell them for $200. And
Josh,
just like you said,
this call is being recorded.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware, but this is past the statute of limitations, so I don't mind talking about it. I would do that, but the problem always became for me was the support side, right? And it's gotten better since then. Don't get me wrong, and I'm sure Seth will attest to this, but there was always issues where something went down or something wasn't working right. So then you have 100 people messaging you, my shit's not working. I can't watch Law and Order. I can't watch this. And it's like, fuck, all right, let me see what's going on. then it's just like you're at the helm of people, I feel like. So then you're like really at their like, you know, service because they just rely on it just like they do their phone. And that became more stressful for me. And I eventually stopped after doing it for so long because I was like, I'm sick of dealing with the issues that fall behind on it. Sure, the money is great, but is the headaches that come along with servicing it and supporting it, you know, worth it in the
Not at
end?
all.
But like I said, it's way different now. I think it's improved, and IPTV is different than what I was doing. But to me, it's still that area of where what happens whenever somebody's like, oh, the server gets shut down and they're all on my ass about it. No, I've been paying you this. Now I got to go get direct TV because you can't do something for me or now. Like that,
Yeah.
I look at the worst case scenario, like what happens then.
Yeah, my
When
coworker and
somebody's
I
like,
kind of had the mentality of Cody was great for me and him because we kind of knew what we were doing, but to sell it, it would be a nightmare because those add-ons just go bad or get blocked or whatever. And then you got to come up with a new add-on or just, Google had a list of them at the time of what was good and what was not. But I mean, if you're selling it and you have 100 to 200 clients, like you said, that just sounds like a nightmare. I
Yeah.
mean,
And back in the day when it was like you could install Kodi on your Xbox, like
yeah,
that was way
the
different
OG
than how it
Xbox.
is
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. And that's why I was saying, like, it's
good times.
obviously the services have gotten way better. So, you know, I know that what these guys are selling now, it rarely has any issues. If it does at all, the uptime is no different than probably renting a
Piracy
server
has
from fucking
gotten better.
Amazon.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Well, you're not having to host it anymore. You know, you've got somebody who's hosting it across probably 30 VPSs, you know, in different continents. So they've figured it out, but there's still always that risk, and that's the way I look at it. Is there's still that risk, whether it's the risk of somebody finding out that I was mass distributing it and I get pinged for some fucking big DCMA or DMCA, whatever it is, you know, fine. Or something happens and I just got 300 pissed off people at me, right? Like it's either way. And are those people that know me because of my repair shop or whatever my business is that going to cause a negative effect on future business from those same customers? Right. So that's how
Yeah,
I
and
see it. It's like the long time value.
I think I saw a comment that said that somebody had just made $200 from selling it, and I'm not saying that there's not money in it. I mean, there's definitely money in it. I'm just saying that for me, it's not worth the risk, you know.
Yeah, I was posting
But I'm scared.
I was posting about prepaid, not not the streaming service. I don't
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somebody posted in the chat about prepaid customers say they just liked it, and I say, nah, I don't know because I made $200 today on 30 minutes of work for prepaid customers. So, and I have about 100 customers monthly. So,
Oh yeah.
to me, you know, it just depends. I came from the Verizon stores and the AT&T stores. I was a store manager for all of them, so I'm used to it. So I know how to deal with them. But yeah, the IPTV stuff, nah, I don't fool with none of that. I'm not going to jail for that.
Yeah, exactly. What prepaid do you sell?
I do AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and H2O, and then Leica Mobile just came to my store like maybe last week, and they say they're gonna do all my windows for free. So I say, hey, if you do my windows for free, I'll sell it.
What's your favorite one to deal with, or what's your favorite one to sell, or what's the best one? You know, overall, if you were to say I'm going solo with just one of these, which one would it be?
I prefer H2O. It runs off of AT&T, but it's way better than AT&T. It's so simple to deal with.
And I think the money's better.
I can do everything. Yeah, it's way better.
Yeah, I've heard the money's better, the service is better. I've 100% heard that. So I was hoping you were going to say H2O.
What are your terms they give you?
We sold prepaid I would say probably like 12 years ago, 10 years ago, and it was such a nightmare because we had customers coming back to our store all the time saying my AT&T's down, or I can't make a text, or and there was nothing we could do besides getting on tech support and just chatting or calling. And it seemed like it was way more of a headache for us to have customers in our store taking up our time when we could have been selling a phone to somebody or selling a repair to somebody or whatever. Has that changed a lot? I mean, again, this was 10, 12 years ago.
I mean, it still happens from time to time, but the benefit of being what we call a multi-carrier and selling multiple carriers is when that issue happens, just swap them to somebody else. And when you do that, you're going to get another activation fee. You're going to get another, 3-4 months worth of like outrageous commission. and then just swap them back later. You know, when the company says, hey, you know, buy this phone from me for $75 and we're gonna pay you $100 to sell it. And so then you just go and do that and you just keep swapping them out. It's no downside to you as the retailer. But you have to know how to do it though.
Are you selling them just an activation and a month's of service, or do they also provide you with phones to sell that are activated once you sell that phone, or how does that work?
So right now I'm with Ahmed with UPD, and so they use for Verizon. It's a service called VitaPay. So VitaPay has Verizon phones. They have unlocked phones and all that you can buy from them. AT&T and T-Mobile goes through a service called ePay, and ePay has AT&T phones, and then H2O has their own dedicated phones that you can get from them. And all of them, when you buy their phones and you activate them, you get a bonus commission just for selling their phones, plus whatever you mark up on it.
So if I sell it, like we sell unlocked phones, a ton of unlocked phones. If I just sell one of my phones, does they still pay me a commission off of selling an activation?
Yeah, you're gonna get paid for the activation. So one of the ones I just did, actually, that's why I was late getting into the chat. Verizon is doing. You pay the customer comes in, they pay $75. That takes care of 3 months bills, and it's the unlimited $60 Verizon prepaid plan that they have in the corporate stores. What you do is, I think that plan cost me $17.50, so I made like $57 and some change maybe. I charge a $30 activation fee on top of that. Now she provided her own phone, but if she bought one of my phones, I would have sold the phone for maybe $150, and it cost me like 65, and they would have gave me that $65 back too on top of that. So
wow.
we're talking, you're talking a few $100s if you add a phone in with it of just commission, and it takes you 5 minutes to do it.
Yeah, I think prepaid gets negative kind of look sometimes, and obviously it all depends on your demographic, where you're at, stuff like that, right? Like, you can have a great I can't say the word prepaid, customer base compared to some people that may have a really bad one. And you can't, it's just like anything else. Reading reviews for anywhere, it's like, oh, this place is bad. I had a bad experience here. You go there, it's a great place. But like, it's the same concept of why look at prepaid being a bad option whenever there is money to be made there and you can offer your customers a service. And as long as you already have a good customer base, like you already know your customer base, so why would you not offer it if it wasn't something that could benefit them and bring them consistently back in your door, whether it's for device upgrades, whether it's for adding a new line, whether it's for anything. You try to just bring them to you all the time rather than going somewhere else. You don't want them going to Walmart to buy their SIM card from, Straight Talk, whatever. Like if you can keep them in your store for anything, that's the goal, right? Like you want to be able to offer them. That's why my whole idea from here was computer services, MSP. Well, like MSP could be a completely different topic, a whole different, segment of your business, a whole different brand. But computers, computer repairs, upgrades, builds, just AV, or I said AV earlier to Seth, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" I mean, virus removal, just basic stuff like this. Laura, is she still on? Yeah, she's not here right now. I had mentioned it earlier. Like her subscription service just still like blows me away. Like this girl is making $30,000 a year from having 100 subs to a $300 a year service for or virus removal, a couple other basic things. And most of these people don't even use it. They pay the $300 for the year, and it covers them if they ever need it. And if not, that's just money in her pocket. She just gets that instant 30,000 additional revenue for that. Like,
yeah, and if you do the math,
who's saying no to that much money? Like, you are absolutely insane if you were telling me you don't want to offer that kind of service, have the opportunity for that much money. And even if you spent 50% of that value, if you made 30,000, if you spent 15,000 worth of that time of doing stuff, that's still a 50% profit at that point.
Yeah, we get without going into our numbers too much, we handle MSP work not just for businesses, but also we do residential, what we call residential protection plans. And I think in total we are well over $500,000 in just subscriptions. And so, that is, one client of ours that's a business spends anywhere from $3,600 a year to, I got one client that's spending like 15,000 a year, just on MSP work. And the cool part about that, especially for the residential side, you have a customer come in, you fix their issue, you charge them like, I don't know, 20 to 35 bucks a month. Give them the antivirus, set up. It's kind of like a set it and forget it customer, where you have them underneath the management system, backups, and you may not even hear from them, and that money's rolling in. But what's also good is, when you're slow, your team can go in and leverage that data. I mean, I cannot tell you how many device sales we got because we had customers with, right now we're going through a list and I have about over 100,000 in project work from devices that aren't going to be Windows 11 compatible. And so you're not just getting that reoccurring revenue, you're getting, those one-time charges as well moving forward in those continuous projects.
What do you use as your management software?
So we've kind of pivoted around. We were using Incentral. We're currently working with Datto. And Kaseya products right now is what we're currently using.
Are you hosting like VMs for customers and clients too, or is this all just like software on machine type stuff?
No, so we won't necessarily host VMs, but we do. Gosh, our subscription base kind of focuses on AV. We do managed firewall. We do Microsoft 365 for businesses. There's really just a huge plethora of kind of the services that we're offering these folks. But for the residential side, it's mostly just the antivirus and management and updates.
Hey Nate, so you said that you do you have like some customers spending like 1,500 to 15,000. Was that yearly or monthly?
Oh, that's yearly.
Okay. Are you like on those bigger ones, are you managing like a SIP or something for them, or what's like a package like that entail?
Yeah, so that client, a customer that's spending well over like $1,200 to $1,300 a month, they may have up to 10 devices with 3 access points and a network firewall.
Okay.
As well
You're
as
managing all that.
A Microsoft 365 package, yeah.
Okay. Are you making money off the Microsoft resale? How are you like a Microsoft reseller, or what, how does that
Yeah,
work?
so we have a partner that we sell or that we resell a lot of our services through. And I think right now we're currently at about 16 to 20% margin on those licenses.
CDW?
What's that?
Is that CDW? The vendor that
no,
you
that's
guys use?
PAX8.
Okay.
What is the name of that company?
PAX8.
PAX8, like PACS8?
PAX8.
PAX.
Gotcha. Thank
you.
You have a referral code so you can get your 20%?
Right.
I wish. Unfortunately not.
Hell yeah, get on there. Shit.
Yeah, when I did that, I used to do a lot of the management services when I worked at Geekmatics, and we used Avast. I think it was like bought out by AVG at one point, and it was god awful. I mean, it would take somebody because their system was so bad. It was like a full-time job to try to manage several different offices. Like it was horrible. Yeah.
Laura, I mentioned your little annual subscription earlier that we talked about in the first episode. Most of these guys weren't here. I don't know all the details of what it is, so you want to repeat it by any chance?
Sure. I use Synchro MSP, and I created a residential hybrid managed care program to offer remote support and antivirus protection to my residential customers. I have 2 plans. I charge a $200 annual subscription and a $300 annual subscription. And I have probably about 100 plus customers on that. And that's not just per customer, that's per asset. So that's per PC. So if they have multiple PCs, then I get that fee per PC. So, but essentially, they choose between the light and the plus, and the difference between the plans is the unlimited remote support. And yeah, I was nervous adding the unlimited part to the remote support, but thankfully I've not had any problems. I've not had any customers abuse it in any way, shape, or form. Though I did sit down and create some type of guidelines for myself, so that way if I'm on a call remote, I know I have stopping points and ways to direct the conversation. But I think I pay like it's like $1 per endpoint that the antivirus is installed on, plus the base fee, which is like 140. So I want to say I'm paying like 250, 260 a month for that. And then, just one of those subscriptions is a month is covered. So it's been pretty good, and I get people signed up for it pretty easily. When they come in for tune-ups or basic repairs, I just kind of like, hey, sign up for this, and then that will include today's repair plus your part. So, but it's been great for managing customers and also helping with being proactive in just terms of keeping up with their Windows updates and driver updates, which is probably 90% of the problems most customers have with their computers, because they're afraid to do that, afraid to keep up with it. So it's created a lot of reoccurring revenue. I want to say I'm somewhere between 25,000 30,000 reoccurring revenue.
That's more
Yeah, and I know
yeah.
that we were. I was just telling them, Laura, which you can attest to this too. That data that we have access to is really good, especially when we're not. If we're not busy, we have that data that we can turn to, and we can see. Hey, is this customer's memory utilization? Are they at 90%? Is their hard drive failing? Is if is the drive space filling up?
Yep, it's got BSOD monitoring. It's got hard drive monitoring, antivirus, virus monitoring. So the other thing I include is like, hey, we'll do free virus removal if you get a virus while you're on this plan with us. I've had this program for 3 years now. I don't think I have one customer that's ever had a virus. And I don't really think that's a testament to the virus software. I think it's more of a testament to the fact that people just don't get infected with viruses, and they mix up viruses with malware. So, but the customer doesn't know that.
Dustin's dog looks like it wants to say something.
Always.
Hey, Laura.
Yeah.
Is what you're using the Bit Defender through Synchro? Is that the AV that you're using?
I actually use WebRoot, and I did use Bitdefender, but I didn't really like the back-end stuff of it. And I'll be honest, WebRoot has been around since I was a teenager. I'm 37 now. It's been around since I was a little guy, and I've just been using them ever since, and I've always liked them, and they're very very low key. They don't bother the customer. They don't have pop-ups. I think I used MSysOft at 1.2 with a customer, and they always had these pop-ups, and the customer was always calling me saying, this is asking me this, or this is asking me that, and it was giving me a bunch of callbacks, and I was like, okay, this has got to go, because one thing I can't stand is callbacks. So anytime I start getting callbacks from customers, that's when I'm like, how do I get rid of these callbacks? So once they switched to WebRoot, nobody calls me, and I never get any malware or any issues with the customer's computer. I'm also very good at putting an ad blocker on the customer's computer too. I think that really helps. But even the customers that don't have that don't pay for the remote support, if I want to comp them like a remote support session just after they've picked up, or maybe they've called me once out of a 12-month period and I just comp them a quick remote session, I'm okay with that, just so that they see that they're getting some type of value out of the program. And usually it's simple stuff like, hey, my email's not working, or, I think I was hacked, and they'll have their whole screen taken over, getting the whole like, hey, you're being hacked, call this number type thing. And I just have to press escape for them. So it's usually really simple stuff.
Are you doing any backup as part of your plan, or is it just basically the remote support and AV?
Just remote support and AV. I haven't done any backups yet. And that partially is just because I haven't figured out how to do it in a very simplified manner. And it hasn't been a major issue. I was promoting Carbonite as an affiliate for some customers as a separate sign up. But then they're no longer doing their affiliate thing. So I switched to iDrive. And I haven't really been pushing that. But I also will give them like discounts on my on-site support. So, I give them like $25 off my hourly rate for that. And then some in-store discounts on additional like, accessories or things like that, just to kind of add a little bit more value to the program. But let me grab a brochure you can see. And I'll shout out Ad Central here because they actually helped me design these brochures.
Wow, Josh loves that.
I give Josh is great with this. Kevin too also helped coordinate. So, but these are my brochures. Just really simply done, and it just makes it super professional looking and easy for the customer to understand exactly what they're getting with what they're paying for. Because that was one of the things that I was having problems with, was customers not understanding exactly what they were getting. But I'll take a picture of that and I'll put that in the Facebook group.
Has anybody offered any services as far as just pure remote? Like, does anybody just say, hey, for $200, you don't have to bring your computer in, download AnyDesk or TeamViewer, whatever it may be, we'll remote in, we'll fix it. Does anybody offer that kind of service here?
I will in a second if anybody wants to offer it, and we'll wholesale it because I'm in Bermuda.
You technically can with Synchro MSP. They do have that feature. I haven't messed with it, and part of it is because I want to say it's limited on what you can actually do with a computer remotely, in my opinion, and so that's why I always like customers to bring their stuff down, so I can also, examine hardware, things like that.
I 100% agree. That's why we didn't offer like remote support for any issue. I mean, we definitely offered remote support, but because a lot of our tools, you gotta like boot into like a USB or something like that to do a hardware test, and so it's like you can do a little bit of a diagnostics remotely, but you can't really do a full diagnostics remotely. So kind of like Laura said, just it's better to bring it in for a complete diagnostics, because a lot of the times what would happen is customers would bring their computer in for a clear virus, like the computer was clearly infected with viruses, but we always started with hardware and memory tests, and I can't tell you how many times the hard drive failed before we even started on the software, right? So it's just then we
the days of the hard disk drives failing all the time.
If you're remoting into someone that's not computer or tech savvy, how are they even going to install AnyDesk? A lot, like I've tried doing that, and they're like, I don't even. How do I install it? It's like, well, that defeats the purpose of the whole thing.
My man, it's so easy to download TeamViewer, bro. If you can't walk somebody through, open up the web browser or your Chrome. Up at the top, you see the white bar. Type in TeamViewer, one word. .us.
Fortunately, most of our customers, a kindly Indian man has already gotten them to install it. from Microsoft. So
Excellent point, Alex. They already have it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and
for
they
us,
already paid him $1,500 for what we're charging $300. So we're actually very cheap.
Yeah.
All right, I
yeah,
gotta go,
for
guys.
us,
Thank you for the discussion.
we don't
Nice talking,
have
Alex.
If we ever want to do a future roundtable on retail, that's where we make our bread and butter. So
Let's do it next
Retail
week.
what?
Let's do it.
everything.
Repair.
Is that?
I was about to say,
Okay.
Alex, we could do that next week because I would listen
Yeah.
to you talk all day.
You sound like the opposite of my wife.
I would be
No, I want to
interested
learn.
in
You're
to hear
always
that.
getting deals from underneath me.
So yeah, we do over $1 million of retail out of one store. So yeah.
Wow, that's
Right.
impressive.
Yes.
All right. Check you guys later. Thank you.
See you, Alex. Nathan, you were going to say something. What were we going to say?
Oh no, I was going to agree with everybody else. We don't. Very rarely will I sell an all-inclusive like labor-only package. I do have a couple on that type of a plan, but I think it's like two. One's paying me like $300 a month, and another's paying me like 500 or no $400 a month. But the reality is they're very hands off. But as long as it's a
Right.
software related issue, we can 9 times out of 10 handle it remotely. But we tend to stay away from that because, of course, as with the way that the economy has been turning and with inflation and rates and everything going up, and including cost for technicians, it definitely makes it a little bit challenging to want to increase a customer's contract or their rate because of that. And now you're just losing money.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
If anybody is interested in the Synchro MSP, I do have a referral code if anybody wanted to try that out. So it'll saves me, gets me 500, gets you 500. So there's a bit of a benefit to that if anybody wanted to try it out. So like I said, I've it's taken 3 years, but I've built up quite a bit of recurring revenue. It is what created my business. I literally just started selling these, and I took the money and I just reinvested it back to my business. And I just did that over and over and over again as I built my business up. And it's honestly what created my business. So I found there are some other MSPs in my area, so I don't do the big contracts, like major businesses. I usually keep mine under 10 employees, partially because I don't have the manpower to do like server type projects and backups, but also because I feel like that market has already been filled up in this area, and there's not a lot of people here, so where the gap was people that were working from home, small businesses, less than 10 employees, and just residential people that just wanted extra tech support.
Yeah, that's where a
Yeah.
lot of your guys' bread and butter is going to be. Like Laura attested to, is not just the residential customers, but also small businesses with 10 employees or less, because a lot of big MSPs, they're not going after those clients. In fact, they're trying to offload a lot of those customers because they're more focused on, how can I get customers that are like 1,500 minimum a month in spend. And those other customers, they feel like they have nowhere to go because every time they call their IT company, they're on hold forever. They haven't gotten a call back. They're not feeling the love. And so where there's a huge opportunity and a huge gap in the market right now is for like small businesses with less than 10 employees because nobody wants them.
100%.
And I'll tell you this, the one of the major MSPs in my area, literally 2 miles down the road from me, sends me all their customers they don't want. And honestly, I think they would have been doing it a lot sooner, but there was nobody else in the area. When I opened up, I want to say as soon as I opened up, they started sending me all the break fix customers, all the Apple customers, all the customers they basically didn't want to handle, and any small businesses that were out of their where they were out of that business's price range. And this is kind of like the perfect marriage. Churches, nonprofits, mechanic shops, real estate agents, small real estate agencies. This has just been perfect for them.
Stay away from restaurants. They don't pay their bills. I like that is.
I don't think I have any restaurants.
I've
done restaurants to help I've gone on site to help fix their POS systems, which can be a nightmare, but those are usually just paid right after I'm done. So
yes, restaurants do not pay their bills.
Oh, I had everybody talking at once. Dustin, go ahead.
I was just saying, what a broad statement to say all restaurants don't pay their bills. I'm like, I didn't know. Is that a secret that I haven't been told yet? Like,
I have so many open tickets from restaurants that haven't been paid, and I'm talking 6+ months.
Does Chick-fil-A count because they always pay?
Well, you guys think Rent-A-Center is bad. Maybe it's just the restaurants in my area.
Rent-A-Center is also terrible, for the record.
I had a school that it took me 60 days to get paid for them. They owed me $3,300. I basically had to essentially go to the board of directors to make them pay me.
60 days isn't bad for a school for that much, my opinion.
No, not at all.
Honestly. I understand your side, though. 100% as a business owner.
I was told that it was going to take like 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? And then every time I call, I can't get in contact with nobody. I'm getting to run around all the time. I'm like, all right, bro, I need my money. So I went to the board of directors, and I think the guy, it's a state-funded school here in Louisiana, but I think he paid me off of his personal credit card, which is kind of crazy. But hey, whatever. I got paid.
Let me ask you, do you still do business with him?
No.
If anybody wants
an invoice that's prepared for him, but he told me to hold off on it. I haven't done any work for that invoice, so I'm pretty sure I probably won't go back out there.
If anybody has any questions on this, just let me know, but I got to get going, so we'll chat next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Laura. Yeah, even on the schools, it's crazy. Obviously, like I said, schools are different. They're not gonna, just like you were saying, it took a while to chase down the money, right? And even for $3,300, which seems like a minuscule amount for a school, it's even funnier to be on the other side of it, where I've actually purchased equipment from a school before, and I want to say it was like $15,000. And they didn't cash our check for almost 180 days.
That's crazy.
So, it goes the same way. But yeah, I don't know. I just think there's just so much more opportunity for repair shops. If, there's shops that are not doing as good as they were, whether it's, just focusing on repairs, whether they're doing device sales, whether they're doing console repairs, whether they're doing accessories, subscription services, computers, whatever. Like, I feel like there's just a lot of stores that are just not doing something, right? And there's something that's missing from everybody's store, no matter what. Like, I will go out on a limb. I even told Seth earlier, I would say it's a good 70, and I'll even go as high as 80% of stores probably don't even touch computers, which I think is crazy because I think that's the easiest money you can make in most scenarios. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be computers that maybe feel like they cost you money because you spend 4 or 5 hours troubleshooting it. But for everything else you do computer wise that takes you 10 minutes and you charge $200 for, $100 for, whatever it may be, there's a lot of different opportunities to, arbitrage that profit and make up for it. And computers are definitely where it's at. I mean, I feel like our store has definitely picked up the last year and a half of building more, whether it's a budget computer, whether it's a gaming computer, whether it's just an upgrade for an existing business client, anything it is, like we always try to constantly, like I know a lot of stores go out, let's go visit the carrier stores, let's go visit GameStop, let's go visit Rent-A-Center, like Rent-A-Centers in our area, like let me backtrace here. My store, we're small, middle of nowhere, Illinois, and 6,000 population, give or take. And we've got probably 5 or 6 Rent-A-Centers within the region that send us all their stuff. And what's that?
No, go ahead. You're fine.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
So we have 13 rental centers.
damn, yeah, fuck you.
What are they sending you?
We get a lot of consoles. We get phones that come back FRP locked that we just remove FRP and just charge, 2 or 3x. We have free FRP removal with the tool we use, and we just charge them anywhere from $30 to $75, depending on like if we have to have somebody else do it or if we can do it in house. We do a lot of HDMI. We do computers, just clean up, reinstall, get it ready for them to resell or re-rent, whatever.
Josh is doing free in-home refrigerator repairs.
Yeah. We're doing couch removals and washer and dryer removals with every virus removal this month.
I bet the roaches are booming.
He's the repo man. Josh
I
is the
bet
repo
Cody's
man.
back hurts.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, I mean, we get a lot of, once we did our rent center here, they start talking to everybody in the area. So now we have like multiple rent centers that send us stuff. We didn't even have to reach out to him, but like what I always encourage him to do is go to dentist, doctor office, anything that could have potentially multiple computers in it. Like, hey, here's what we do. We offer this kind of service, just, virus removal, just basic upgrades, builds, whatever it is. But also, if you guys do something with us, we'll give like, let's say 10 or 15% off of your employees for any repairs they may bring in, iPads, iPhones, whatever it is, like give them a discount. So it's kind of like a referral within the referral of saying like, oh, we're trying to get the business's business, but we also want to let the employees know like we're there as well. And even refreshing it, because obviously some secretaries, some, everybody at the desk at different offices are different. So you may go in and see somebody different that you've never seen before. And that gives you the other opportunity to, again, pitch your business and let them know what you do. So just constantly putting it in there. Like carriers are one thing, and I think those are great. And every area is different. Like our area, carriers are assholes, and they're like, "No, our manager says we can't refer to you guys, whatever." So we don't push it as much, but we try to drive on the outer areas and go to those and do it. But even just your local businesses, right? Like every business has a computer, like almost guaranteed. Like there's no way any business is almost not running on a computer with the exception of a few. Like I see my friend's coffee shop is all iPads, right? But they have iPads. You can fix those iPads, or there's just an opportunity within every opportunity there, no matter what. So it's like people just sleep on where you can go in and just be like, hey, by the way, I don't know if you knew, but we fix those. You can be getting your coffee in the morning at the drive-thru and be like, hey, you guys are using all iPads in there. Did you know that like we're just right down the street? We can fix those, and if you guys drop it, I can get it back to you within 2 hours, no problem. Like there's just different opportunities there in that kind of sense of I think a lot of people sleep on, and the business aspect of it is always bigger than just the business. It's the employees who work for it along with their families. How many devices are in that home of that employee of that business? 3, 4, 5? How many kids do they have? iPads, computers, like it goes on and on, right? So like you can't just sleep on the fact that like, oh, I'm just going to my carriers and I'm going to GameStop, I'm going to wherever. Like you shouldn't not limit yourself that. You should be going to these places that have all of these devices, all of, doctor's office, dentist's office, like I said, like eye doctors, wherever. Any business has something they're operating from, and they have an employee who has a family. So like again, that long-term value continues to grow down. So I feel like a lot of people just kind of like, oh, like my word of mouth, I'm doing advertising, I'm doing this, I'm going to carrier stores. But like, that's great. Everybody's been doing that, and it works. But how much more can you go? How much further can you keep going with your time at that point? Like, what's it take 15 minutes just to stop by a place and just introduce yourself, drop off some cards? You're doing the same thing at a carrier store. Why not do it at a eye doctor's office, dentist's office, doctor's office, hospital, whatever it is? Like you're going to touch people, you're going to talk to people, you're going to see people. You're branding, right?
Hey, Josh.
So
Josh,
yeah.
A suggestion that I can make that goes along the same lines of that is your Chamber of Commerce. What we did is we came out with a Chamber of Commerce discount. Our local Chamber of Commerce has 60,000 employees that are part of the chamber members. So what we did is created a chamber member discount, and then we go and talk to the HR people and say, this is now an employee perk that you can offer to your employees. So now it makes it sound like it's an employee benefit from that company. And we just give $10 off of any type of a repair and then 10% off of any accessory sale. And now they're promoting it for us instead of it just being me.
That's awesome.
Exactly. And it's just those little things like that that you don't think of, right? Like it's just because, it's not something that everybody's talking about, but like just something that small, how many people that reaches instantly without you having to do anything anymore because you're offering that one simple discount. So that's where I think there's just a lot of different things that shops are just barely missing and they don't know it. Whether it's a shop that's in a good area that has the opportunity to offer prepaid and bank off of it and be in a good demographic for it. Some shops aren't in a good demographic for it, but others are in a good demographic for something else. So there's always an opportunity for a shop, regardless of where you're at. There's just different things that you're going to be able to, mark up more than another store. Where there's computer services, console services, there's guys out there charging $250 for HDMI repairs. There's guys out there charging 150 or 100. So I mean, it's you figure out what works best for you, but there's money on the table no matter where you're at, and there's lots of options, especially with the computers. And I think that's the big place where a lot of people are missing out. Computers especially. It's just blows my mind. They're easier to work on. People act like that it's like rocket science to work on these things, troubleshoot them. It's easier than phones, in my opinion. And I come from the computer side, went into the iPhone, iPad, whatever side, but like I come from the computer side, and I think that computers, no matter what, were always easier to troubleshoot than phones because I think there was just so much more to go wrong with the phone side or iPad side, whatever it may be, than a computer. And obviously, if you're building one, the screws and stuff like that are way bigger, so you get benefit from that.
Yeah, I'll say this on my way out. There's a store that's like our biggest competitor, and we basically went around and just talked to every single store in our area and kind of made friends with them, built relationships. And this guy started by just sending us some minor soldering work. He breaks a ton of shit, so he's here like 3 or 4 times a week, and it's like a 20-minute drive each way, so it's a good 40-minute drive every time he comes over here. But he found out we fix computers, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to start advertising computer repairs." He won't touch a computer, and so he'll get Yelp requests and just screenshot them and send them to us and be like, "How much to fix these?" So we're basically getting leads from him. And yeah, it's been great. Like he won't even change iPads and batteries because he's scared to do it. When he removes LCD display assemblies from iPads, he just rips the whole thing off because he doesn't know how to remove them safely. So he doesn't even like recycle or refurb or do buybacks on iPad screens. So yeah, there's people literally down the street from you that are just waiting to send you business.
Wow. That's yeah. I mean, not to say I'm surprised. Obviously, there's people out there like that. I mean, we see plenty of pictures of people's work. They get
And
fixed in
he
the
pays
groups.
a ton for advertising. So his phone's ringing off the hook all day, but he's diverting so much of that business to us. So we get to use his advertising dollars to bring in
Yeah,
more
no.
revenue here. So
Hey, that's a win. Appreciate it, bud.
exactly. All right, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, have a good weekend, man.
You too.
Yeah, I was gonna wrap up. If anybody's got anything else or anything else they want to talk about, or I appreciate everybody's input so far. So Jeremy jumped in last minute. He's trying to fix an iPhone. Looks like he's, got a fan going behind him.
Well, yeah,
He
no,
can't
these are cool meetings. I definitely want to hop in and just listen to people's just to listen to what people do because honestly, I've been just getting bored, and I'm just like, man, like what else are people doing to make money? Because I'm just like getting bored of the industry. Not really bored of the industry, but it's like the same thing over and over again. Just to hear what people are doing is really interesting and it opens a lot new doors, especially for everyone. So that's cool. So good idea.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that's what I kind of wanted. It's, there's a lot of different things people are doing out there, whether it's, the IPTV or just doing MSP stuff. There's just different things everybody's doing differently. And I think, some people can benefit from it. Some people may not. It may not work for everybody, but I think this is an easy way to share ideas and just like what's going on. And even if it's just like, Chris, he's not on here now, but Chris Gruber on like, I think the first call, like, was fixing something, but it was like we were talking, like he was fixing like an iPad Pro while like during the call, and like even that kind of conversation can happen where it's like, oh, he's fixing something, and it's like, hey, has anybody ran into this issue? And somebody on the call may like know like what's going on. So it's like it's kind of cool in that aspect of like what you could do of just being on here and like talking to people, but just seeing what others are doing, like, hey, I always struggle with this repair. How do you make it better? Or who does this better? Who crushes at this repair? Whatever it may be. But I want to make it. My goal is to make it a topic. The idea this week was MSP, anything outside of just like basic repair that I knew a lot of people weren't doing, and I know a lot of shops just don't do computer repair, and it just still blows my mind. It's just like essentially I say free money, but it is free money. Like these are your existing customers have computers. That is money you're turning away when you say, no, I don't work on a MacBook. No, I don't work on a Windows PC. No, I don't work on this. Like you're turning away the potential opportunity to hold that customer for a longer term, because if they find somebody else who works on that computer, that person's likely gonna work on their fucking iPhones or their Samsungs or their iPads, and they're gonna take them from you because you chose to say, no, I don't work on MacBook.
Yeah,
No, I don't work on that laptop.
Over 50% of laptop repairs are basically a drive upgrade with a Windows install that's free.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
freaking free. So
yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that's what it is. With the Windows, it's like you said, RAM, SSD, wipe, backup. Like there's just very basic stuff. Or, beyond that, like how people just don't offer it is still just killing me. And even just building a basic PC, right? So like everybody's like, oh, just go to Walmart, buy this $300 computer. When you can build, let's say, a $400 one, mark it up $100, $200, whatever your time is worth.
yeah,
Everybody's different. And then you say, look, Walmart's offering you a 1 year warranty. However, I'm offering you a 3 year or 5 year, because if you're buying all that stuff from the manufacturers, Newegg, wherever, that's all coming with a 3 to 5 year warranty. So
yeah,
there's no reason you're not extending that to the customer. Walmart's not doing that. They're using the shittiest parts out there. So you could say, hey, yeah, Walmart's 300, we're 400, but here's the difference. Our warranty is this. We can offer this protection plan. You continue to add on to that. And it's like, why do you want to, like, you don't want to let people go to Walmart. You don't want to let people go to Best Buy. This is why you don't want to use Geek Squad. So like it's figuring out how you can step in and stand out compared to those and be like, hey, this is why we're here. We're here to help you. We'll set it up for you. Do you want to, like however you can get in your customer and keep them with you, the better, right? Like you don't want them, like I said, going down the street because you don't do something, because that's just one more opportunity for that competitor to take your customer.
yeah, right. No,
So
definitely. Yeah, especially depends on the market. For example, around me, I have already off the top of my head 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shops within like a 2 mile radius around me.
it's brutal.
Not including
Yeah.
me, plus the U-Break I fix, which I'll even include.
Yeah.
There's a ton of competition, and you gotta be really on top of your toes daily to make sure you don't fuck over your customers. That's why, like, when it comes to customer service, like if I need to lose money to keep my customer, I'm losing money to keep my customer. That's my business model. Like I'm not having someone go to another shop. But when it comes to that, our ratings are just awesome compared to other shops. Some of the reviews I read from other shops are just like facepalm crazy. So it's pretty fun when it comes to that. So yeah, man, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely in the next talk. And
Definitely.
so,
Yeah, we'll come up with a new topic. I've got a group, like I said, I don't know if you're in the group, but I've got a group for the call in general. If there's anything anybody wants to talk about or try to get somebody who, like I said, like my goal, I got Nathan on here. While he may not have answered a lot of questions, there wasn't a lot of questions for him, but he is, I'm pretty sure he said 500,000 in like recurring subs for his service. Like he's the kind of guy that I wanted to get on for that kind of stuff. So, my goal is if we can come up with a topic, a little bit in advance, we can find somebody who's more specialized in that area to get them on. And if somebody's got questions, they can, ask questions, whatever. Otherwise, just getting them on just to hear like, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's how I can do it. And again, we didn't tap Nathan for what he's worth by any means. I think there's a lot of opportunity with Nathan. Ben Warda, again, he couldn't make the call, but he's also got an awesome MSP company out in Kansas. Um, again, like there's guys that if we can coordinate it, if we get enough people, like we can coordinate it and try to even schedule it separate of these to get these guys on and just truly dedicate that time towards asking questions. Hey, like one big thing Seth and I were talking about is like, hey, like let's find a way to like build a game plan for something like anybody that just wants to start just fucking running right into this. I wanna offer this CCTV. I want to offer alarms. I want to offer this. What do I need to do? Where's my list of distributors to buy stuff from? Here's my list of people that I need to sign up for this stuff for work to start buying from, or whatever. Like, what's going to make my life easier to make this business better and to grow it? And I've got some leads there that I could put in the chat and on probably the live Zoom or even in the group. I've got guys who run some pretty big companies for CCTV alarms that do commercial, mostly big commercial, right? I'm talking big condos, big apartment complexes, businesses of all sort, shapes and sizes, but like nationwide, not localized. But they have an opportunity where, I guess you say it's I don't know, like you could sign up yourself as your repair shop. You get access to all their stuff wholesale, their alarm stuff, their CCT stuff, and all your customers a sub for the monthly subscription through there. You get a kickback from those stuff like that. So it's like some sort of an affiliate way that you can monitor, but it's like everything's already done for you. You just buy the products. I don't know, like what you're using now, if it has something like that, but for CCTV and alarms stuff like this company has. You buy everything through them. Once the customer signs up for the monthly, they're just under your umbrella. You get the recurring, under them and so forth. So there's wins on that side. So there's a lot of different ways to work that in. But one thing I was telling Seth whenever I originally met this guy was my idea was to meet and find big home builders.
Yeah.
For example, in St. Louis, there's a big home builder called McBride and Sons. Massive, and they build fucking the biggest subdivisions in St. Louis area. But like meeting with them and trying to find a way, like, and I'm sure there's already somebody in there doing this, right? Like they've already got somebody who's already fucking bugging the general contractor at McBride and Sons, and be like, hey, we want you to use our alarms or our security, and here's what the kickback will be if you guys recommend us with your new build, stuff like that. But like that would be the way in, right? Because then you're not selling anymore. That is all on the home builder. The home builder is then recommending it to the people buying the home or whatever. So there, your hands off. Now it's just running itself. You just working with some home builders. You're working with some property managers who are running apartment complexes, who are running condos, who have no CCTV, maybe have old, outdated CCTV, and you're going in and upgrading it. Like those are the ways to do it. And then from there, it's like you're not touching it because it's like it's technically all handled by them under you, and you're just collecting that recurring revenue from their monthly subscription of having that service at that point of whether they're getting the access to that the videos or just the alarm service and things like that. But like the big opportunities are out there, and they're gonna.
We definitely got to talk, communicate, listen. Especially because we're all getting older. I think we definitely need to network more. And that's definitely going to change and grow our industry as a whole. There's not a lot of networking in the groups. There's a lot of shit talking, and I'm getting sick and tired of that bullshit. So,
oh, for sure, and that's kind of where I was wanting to grow this was just like, hey, let's if you're looking to try to just do something different, or just looking to hear some feedback. Some people are struggling and they want to hear like new ways to make money. What am I doing that I can't, like what I'm not doing now? How can I fix my business? Some guys may have questions of like, hey, I'm underwater right now. What can I do to maybe get ahead? Like that's my goal is like to just help people as well, right? Like I'm not here to try to do anything otherwise. It's like, hey, like what problems are people having? What can we do to help each other? But also, what are the ways we can make money? Like that's the biggest goal. Everybody's here to make money. We're not here to do anything else, right? Like we're here to make money. So how can we help each other make money? And what can we what can we do to make sure everybody's making money together?
I 100% agree. I like it. I do got to go. I got 2 customers in the shop, so I gotta head out. So yeah, cool guys.
You're good. It's the end of the call anyway, so we'll catch you guys next week, same time. So 2 p.m. Central next Friday. Talk to you guys next Friday.